Hello guys, welcome back to BoreDraw. What episode are we? 74? BoreDraw episode 74. And we're bringing you our coverage of what was an exciting, outstanding weekend of Premier League football.
And midweek Premier League football.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're back for a double, baby.
Mate, it was just
Double bubble.
getting pounded and pounded and pounded with football. And I loved it. There was some bloody shocking results off the back of
We're going to cover it all.
semi-expected results. But yeah, we'll start with a little bit of discussion about midweek. There's a few teams that we want to cover specifically.
We're going to come for some teams in a negative way. And then we're going to come for some teams in a positive way. So, to start with, I think we talk about Chelsea.
Perhaps the worst team in the league.
Perhaps
when you like look at, if you had a graph of like net spend compared to with like net points,
I'll hit you with some
surely
statistics.
they've got to be like the bottom.
In 2023, so that's not just this season, just this year, they've got 39 points from 39 league games, which is terrible. And then comparatively, that is the lowest points accumulated by any team in the Premier League.
Wait, so if the league started January 1st and ended December, they would be in relegation.
Yeah.
That's mad.
They are terrible. And I think this poses the question, or I'll pose the question, and you can let me know what you think. Talking about just big six teams here, so Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Spurs, Liverpool. Do I include everyone? I think so.
Yeah.
Is this the biggest fall-off of a big six team ever?
See, the thing is, though, like, they were good, but then since they won that the league, the season that Tottenham came second, and then they won the Champions League with Tuchel, what have they done?
Absolutely nothing.
So the fall-off has almost been steady. It's just, it is exemplified by the fact that they've spent £960 million or whatever it is, close to £1 billion.
Because the only comparative I can think of is the Arsenal fall-off where they did the double 8th place. But even then, Arsenal, like Chelsea, were in between managers, but they weren't spending this kind of money. I've seen no team in world football, really, spend this kind of money and get it wrong so consistently for now 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, PSG maybe when it comes to the Champions League, but then again, you're competing against other teams.
Yes, and they're winning the domestic league every year. So, like, the fall-off for them is European. It's not domestic. Chelsea's is arguably the other way around. They're playing all right in Europe when they're in it, but domestically, what was it last season? 10th or wherever they finished? 12th? And they're 12th currently, played 16 games, won 5, drawn 4, lost 7, goal difference of 0. It's so bad. And I think they got Poch in because the plan was he can get the most out of the least. He can get kind of a squad that isn't really gelling, young players, and he can mould them. But I'm seeing none of that in this. They're easy to play against. The only good games they've played against big teams where there's a lot of expectations. I guess that's kind of like they're the underdogs in that game and then maybe overperforming those games. But games where they're supposed to win, they're losing. And yeah, I just can't get my head around the fact that they're on 19 points from 16 games. That is so bad.
The football is better than last season. It's better than it was under Graham Potter. It was better. It's much better than it was under Lampard. The issue is, it can be better, but the points aren't coming. How have you spent £960 million plus, and you've literally signed a man who is just chatting up Astrid Wet?
That is the maddest thing. Maybe we should do an hour-long podcast on just that.
Because that's ridiculous. But you sack him on the spot.
Mate, that's... Everton got a points deduction for less.
Honestly, man. And they, like, fair play to Everton, they should be above this rotten team. Nicholas Jackson is absolutely stinking up. Apart from a hat-trick on a plate against Tottenham Hotspur at 9 men,
mad, yeah.
He's done nothing.
Yeah, he's a wetty.
He's a donkey.
I'll
revert back to the person on Twitter that shouted that Nicholas Jackson does more than Erling Haaland. Are you dumb? I would rather have 10 men than Nicholas Jackson.
I'd rather have Astrid Wed up top. than Nicholas Jackson.
At least you can finish it off.
Jeez! But it's so bad.
Yeah, that's mad. And then he got away with throttling a player at the end of the game, I think.
He did indeed, yeah.
I think Nathan Patterson and was it Casemiro who both got done for it? Retrospectively.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Reece James injured again.
Yeah, so there's so many like little storylines in the greater storyline that is
It'd
Chelsea.
Be a fantastic all or nothing.
It would be. It actually fucking would be. But yeah, Reece James injured again. So he tweeted, I think in like early August, I'm back, new era for Chelsea, blah, 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 with him and the captain's armband. And I saw he's like, he's won 0 games as captain and he's had like 4 injuries in that time.
We need to do a deep dive on Reece James because this is nuts. He was a man with the world at his feet. He was going to be not just England's best right back, but probably the best right back in the world.
I agree.
He is the most complete right back in world football.
I agree. But
injuries wait for no man.
We've said this on the pod. There's been stories. My boy Jack Wilshere, he is a perfect example of football waits for no man. If you can't...
Original R9.
If you can't handle the rigours of modern day football, and yeah, there's a separate argument that footballers are playing too much football, but if you can't handle that, you can't be Chelsea captain, you can't be England's #1 right back, and you can't be the best right back in the world because you're not playing enough football.
You are only as good as your injury record.
I've got a better injury record than Reece James.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not playing football because of my knee, so that's mad.
Yeah, maybe you should hang it up.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's sad. It is sad. Like I don't like Chelsea at all. Don't like Chelsea players, but it's disappointing to see someone with so much talent not hit the heights that you want them to hit.
Yeah.
Like, it is almost Chelsea's version of Jack Wilshere, but probably with a little bit less height. Because Jack Wilshere was that guy.
Going from homegrown talent to, as we've mentioned, the fucking millions upon maybe even billions that they've spent. They've got a midfield duo of Enzo and Caicedo. That's 230 million worth of talent just there.
Put them together.
Why is that possibly the worst midfield duo in the Premier League?
You put them together and they're not even worth as much as Declan Rice's left leg or Rodri's left leg.
Mate, how are they struggling so much when individually their elements are like what makes a perfect midfield? You've got a technical kind of ball progressor that plays
deep. You've got
deep.
a wizard in the middle.
Yeah, and then next to him you've got a guy that run legs for days.
Fantastic tackle.
Breaks up the place so well.
He's
gets up and down the pitch.
On the ball.
Yeah, and together, that's a perfect midfield. Why is this washed? Is that them two? Is it Poch?
Is it the fact that they maybe were really good in their systems at their previous clubs for their international teams and this Chelsea system's just not working for them? I don't know. It is baffling to me because I've been an Enzo boy from day one. I really liked what he was about. I backed him in the dark times. But these long nights are never ending, mate. You are done.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I was not against it. I was just like, he's not worth that much money. I can tell he's a decent player, but he's not a 100 mil plus player. And then I started warming to him when Chelsea had that kind of nice little period towards the end of Graham Potter's time. And then I was like, he's all right. But now I'm watching him, and like for 100 million, you should be dropping 8 out of 10 at a minimum every game. Rodri does it. Rice does it.
Jack Grealish does it.
These players that dictate midfields, win games, will eventually win you leagues. Whereas Enzo, every game, I literally couldn't pick him out if you put fucking Conor Gallagher next to him. What's Conor Gallagher? Conor Gallagher looks better than Enzo.
Can we name 5 better midfielders than Enzo in the league already? Easy.
Mate, I could name them in the bottom half.
Go on.
João Paulinho.
Yep.
Oh, he's actually probably top half now.
He's
I think they're
top
10th. Eze.
Eze, yeah.
Who else is there? Wolves. Is it João Gomez that plays for Wolves? Yeah, I like him. Who else is there down there? Everton. Abdoulaye Doucouré. Better midfielder. I don't know.
Who's the...
Let me just get a fucking table up.
Soumare from Forest.
Yeah, Soumare, Forest. Bournemouth. Fucking Alex Scott's better than him. I'm probably being a bit rude. Brentford, yeah. I was going Janel and Norgard. Yeah, 100%. Anyway, so yeah, Enzo, buck up your ideas because I think Luke's been letting you slide on this podcast. And if I'm seeing reds on this for much longer, we're going to have to do an expose. Not that this isn't what this podcast is right now.
Honestly, yeah. if you are as good as you think you are, mate, you've got to either leave Chelsea because it's not working or do something about it.
Yeah.
Be that guy. Because someone needs to step up that team. How can we say this week in, week out, how can your best player be a 39, 40-year-old man whose his best days have been passed for long gone, but you're making him look like you're a star player?
It's mental, yeah.
It is nuts. My man can't even walk. But you say there's too much football, yeah? Thiago Silva is 40 years old,
and he's playing
3 times a week.
Facts.
And he's played fucking more games in last season than Reece James is in the last 3.
Yeah, facts.
It's nuts.
It is nuts.
Where do these players, you can't rest on your laurels, yeah? Your past career can only carry you so far. It's nuts. It is nuts. Football, the inflation is pissing me off.
It's mad. And I want to talk about a couple more things before we move on from Chelsea. Pochettino, after the Everton loss, we'll talk about the 2 losses that have kind of stemmed this conversation. But yeah, after the Everton loss, he said, the reality is we're a mid-table team, which is mad. Imagine Chelsea fans listening to that. They're already the most reactive fan base I've ever seen in my life. But imagine hearing your manager say, reality is we're a mid-table team.
It sounds like Roy Hodgson.
The players need to... Oh, yeah, Roy Hodgson's on a Mazza at the moment. But yeah, the players need to step up. And in January, we need to recruit. Imagine in January still thinking we need to recruit. Like, it was obviously going to happen. Chelsea are going to spend money.
Mate, you have the most inflated squad in world football.
Yeah.
You've got players you don't even know exist, mate, that you signed for like 30 million.
Yeah, shout out Malang Sarr every time.
That's fucking nuts. And you're out here saying you need to sign more players. How about you just fucking make it work? I think for them, Christian and Nkunku coming back is going to be mad.
Huge, yeah.
I think it's going to be huge. Because that means they can get Nicholas Jackson out of there.
Yeah.
Because I know they were going to play him like a double, like a double pivot and then the 2 8s in front of him.
Yeah.
Sack it off, get him up front because, my God, you need some goals.
100%.
But they had like 70-odd possession against Everton.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Against Man United and Everton, 2 teams that aren't on great form. Everton are starting to get into some form. But how are you making Man United, who we'll talk about eventually, make them look like the better team on the pitch? Man United are shit.
How many times have we said it? Man United have not dominated a game of football, and you almost gave... There was dominance.
Yeah, and then
but
you gave it
got
to
close
them.
to it.
It's so bad. And so, yeah, I don't know. For Chelsea, there's a couple of things I want to kind of end on. Is this karma for years and years? And this isn't even just the Bowley era. This is stemming... This is 20 years now. Is this karma for years and years of short-term planning and kind of fan impatience and toxic squads?
Crap? Paper in the cracks.
Because it has worked. Obviously, they're one of the most successful teams in the past 20 years.
I know, I think...
But you've now bred a culture amongst the fans that is so short-term. Like, the fans that are going to kind of tweet about shit, the fans that you're going to hear from, only know successful Chelsea. Any Chelsea fan that's older than 20 years old is a big fat racist anyway. And any fan under 20 years old
is delusional.
Is a glory hunter that was here for the Roman days.
What I'm going to say, let's just end it with this. You must be sick if you're enjoying the downfall of Chelsea. Yeah. Fuck Chelsea.
Yeah, fuck Chelsea every single time.
Yeah, I love it. It is karma. Let's move on to another team who suffered a humiliating result after what was probably the most humiliating result last season, where they smashed them. What was it? 6-1,
I think.
6-1?
Yeah.
We're talking obviously Newcastle versus Spurs. It finished 4-1 to Tottenham. We got Joe Linton with a last-minute consolation goal for Newcastle. What happened here? Because we were at the pub for this. And fair to say, I think we thought Spurs, what was it? It could have been 5 without a win. Newcastle, off the back of a pretty hard Champions League couple games.
Yeah.
Then they got battered by Everton.
Yeah, 3-0 loss to Everton and then a 4-1 loss to Spurs. We're going to touch on Newcastle because, like Chelsea, they're hitting a bit of a sticky patch. And unlike Chelsea, who their injuries are kind of... Actually, no, I was going to say their injuries are kind of getting back to fitness now. Newcastle have got a fat load of injuries.
Newcastle, this was like the injury classico because Spurs and Newcastle, I think, had the 2 largest injury lists in the league. Obviously, Spurs missing the likes of Maddison and Van der Ven, Perisic. Am I missing anyone else that's major? Bentancur. And Newcastle missing They had Longstaff
Fucking
coming
the
back.
The whole
Mate,
gang.
honestly, like
Sven Botman,
yeah.
Dan Burn, Nick
Pope.
Yeah.
Tonali obviously suspended.
Yeah. So Newcastle, I want to talk about it because they're 3-0 loss and then a 4-1 loss. They're sitting currently 7th in the table. They're actually 1 point behind who we're going to touch on later in Man United. Man United, who we've said many times this season are one of the worst teams in the league, have no identity. We don't actually know how they've got as many points as they've got. So how can we be doing that kind of agenda against Man United when Newcastle, who everyone, and we've been a fan of their work.
Still am.
I'm teetering. But yeah, how can we be as happy to applaud Newcastle as we are when they're behind Man United in the table? Man United, who are in the same competitions as Newcastle, have a similar kind of injury situation. They've got Martinez out, Varane out, Mason Mount out, Casemiro out, all these guys out. Why are we not getting on Newcastle?
Well, because for me, Newcastle haven't spent the likes of what Man United have spent over the last couple of seasons. Newcastle, they were just grateful to be there for a while.
Like a Make-A-Wish thing.
They were grateful to be there because it's been so long. So, and everyone likes to see a new team, a new boy on the block. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
fuck the big six.
Yeah, especially when it's at the detriment of teams like Chelsea
and Man United. Yeah.
But I'm very worried. I'm worried that things could turn sour very quickly. This week is going to be very defining in the future of Newcastle, and more specifically Eddie Howe. They've got high-flying Fulham on Saturday, but in the midweek they've got a big game against PSG. Is that at...
No, it's not against PSG. It's against AC Milan.
AC Milan, sorry.
Yeah, so it's a third in the table, Newcastle, versus bottom of the table, AC Milan. So basically, I don't think AC Milan can... I think they might be able to.
I think all teams can qualify.
Yeah.
Dortmund are through.
Yeah, I think AC Milan need to win by quite a good margin. But yeah, basically, if Newcastle don't get a result against AC Milan...
Newcastle need to win and
they're not progressing.
And Dortmund to beat PSG.
PSG, yeah, exactly.
So for me, they could easily, at the end of this week, be out of the Champions League.
And then if they go loose to Fulham on the weekend, who, like you said, are high-flying...
They could be drifting from that top four.
That's a horrible weekend, a horrible week for Eddie Howe.
Have a look at the table real quick. How many points are they already behind Villa?
So behind Villa, they are fucking
9 points.
9 points behind Villa.
9 points behind Villa, yeah. And they're already, what are they? 7 points behind Man City. So a couple more bad results, and you could see that point gap grow to 10 points. We know how difficult that can be to catch up, and they could be out of the Champions League. And at that point, especially when it comes to January, you might be thinking, if we're going to make a change, this is the time.
That's a very good point.
They might start bringing out some of that firepower, that money, and might be looking for a change in manager. Because going back a season or two, when Eddie Howe took over and they were like borderline relegated, I think everyone thought that Eddie Howe was going to be a short-term appointment for some short-term stability, get them out of the relegation zone, and have a nice foundation for a bigger name to come and take over.
Well, they must be looking at Aston Villa and thinking, not that Unai Emery is his kind of Goliath name, but he's definitely got a better pedigree than Eddie Howe. So they must be looking at Aston Villa and the job he's doing there and thinking, that squad isn't, I was going to say not as half as good, but it's probably a little bit less good.
Do you know, it's probably more understated than...
And Newcastle turned them over like 5-1 first game of the season. But yeah, they must be looking at the job Unai Emery's doing and thinking, there must be managers out there. I think I've seen talks of like Lopetegui getting a more high-profile job. I don't know, there's loads of managers. Zidane's about, I don't know. And so they must be looking at it and thinking, yeah, if he can't get us Champions League again, if he can't get us out the Champions League group, maybe it's time to go.
Has it run its course? Has he hit the ceiling?
One thing I want to talk about is their away form.
Yes.
So they've got 26 points this season, which is a good total. Not crazy, but good at this point in the season. But if you look into it a little bit deeper...
Only 7 points more than Chelsea.
Yeah. I mean, we're still pretty early in the season, but...
Perspective, boy.
They've played 7 games away from home and only won once.
Yeah, that's
not good enough for a team that wants Champions League football.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this a lot as well on the podcast. St. James's Park is a place that no team wants to go.
No, but are they too reliant on getting the kind of crowd. Like, I think that's like 80% of the reason they beat Arsenal is that they had that kind of crowd. And it's probably 80% of the reason they beat a lot of teams. Probably why they absolutely thumped PSG that game.
I mean,
it's a carnage stadium.
It's such a positive to have on your side, to have a really strong home record and have a really big, intimidating crowd who get onto the away team and, you know, really pump up your home team, because that's what often keeps a lot of teams in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And if you have a good home record, if you win like 80% of your home games, you're laughing. That's going to get you like a push in top 6. But it can only take you so far when you're aiming for higher. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be picking up those points away from home. 1 win in 7 away games is not good enough.
No.
And the only thing I can hold my hands up and say that is there that maybe we can shed a little light on the situation is the fact that they have got the worst injury record in the league at the minute.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's been horrendous. They're missing a lot of players. Obviously, what happened with Tonali as well is a massive loss because that was their star sign in the summer.
Yeah, it's not
They've
ideal.
lost one of their key players in Nick Pope, which can't be understated. They brought in Martin Dubravka.
Even like the likes of Sven Botman, who was one of the best centre-backs in the league last season.
Exactly.
He's not playing at the moment.
Jamal Lascelles has come in and done well, especially in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Been really impressed with some of his performances, but that is it. But you can't rest on that now. You're fighting on the Champions League. You're fighting in the FA Cup. They're still in that. The Carabao Cup, I think.
Yeah.
You're fighting for a top 4 finish again.
And maybe in January they do, like you say, instead, as well as looking at a manager potentially, they start flexing that cash and go for some big signings. I know there's talks about Calvin Phillips. I know there's talks about them using the Saudi market. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on Newcastle. Before we move on to some happier stories, Chelsea, Pochettino, in or out?
In.
And Newcastle, Eddie Howe, in or out?
In.
Mad.
The only thing is, for me, I don't know there's a strong enough manager market out there at the minute. There's not many names that are floating around that I'd be like,
no,
because Zidane's not going to go anywhere. I think he's
I don't know. We're talking about Chelsea and Newcastle. They're probably the 2 richest clubs in the world.
Yeah, but
if anyone's going to get Zidane out of hiding, it's money. Well, then we talk about if Real get him,
and then Don Carlo's going to manage Brazil.
Don Carlo, maybe he could do a
job.
job at either of those two. Maybe he's got Chelsea history. But I don't think it's confirmed that he's going to manage Brazil.
Vinny Junior's been in his.
And then there's Xabi Alonso.
Xabi Alonso would be a good shout. I know a lot of people are looking at him for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Or potentially Bayern München.
And then if it's Bayern Munich, there's Thomas Tuchel back on the market.
He's not going back to Chelsea, is he? I think.
No. But yeah,
I think Chelsea would love to have him back.
I think for me, Chelsea, I agree, Poch in, and Newcastle, disagree. I think Eddie Howe needs to go.
That's a howler.
And my suggestion is get Carlo Ancelotti.
Mate, obviously, if Carlo Ancelotti is available, I'll take him over Eddie Howe.
Well, why don't you say it then? Pussy.
But he's not going to be available.
Why not?
Because why the fuck would you leave Real Madrid?
It's not. His contract ends.
Yeah, but he's going to Brazil.
He's
going to be on. He's going to be on the Copacabana, mate.
Nah, it's not confirmed, and he might want to. The moolah is crazy.
I mean, he did go to Everton.
Or fuck it, Newcastle get Jose Mourinho.
Oh, I think that's a downgrade.
Fuck off! Is Eddie Howe an upgrade on Jose Mourinho? I
think it's too different.
What do you mean? We're talking about if we want pedigree.
We have watched.
There's no one with.
We have watched Jose Mourinho come to Man United.
Mate, it's Harambe.
Play terrorist football.
Yeah.
We have watched him go to Tottenham Hotspur.
Is that fitting as football. They are a Saudi club?
We have watched him go to AS Roma and play somewhat less terrorist football, but in a less terrorist league.
I'll back it. I want Jose back in the league just for storylines.
This going to get absolutely binned because I've said terrorist 4 times now.
But yeah, Newcastle, bin off Eddie Howe and bring Don Carlo or Jose the special one back to the Prem.
Or Zidane.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what is Zidane doing these days?
I don't know. Well, maybe they go to Como get Cesc.
Oh, he's actually on a Mazza. I think he's 5 wins in a row.
Yeah, they're flying.
What a guy. So. Right. Happier notes now. Everton. They were down to 19th place after their 10-point deduction.
Yeah, they were. What were they on? 0 points or -3 or something?
No, they're on 4.
Oh,
They're on 14 and then went down to 4.
Thought it was
They
worse
wouldn't be
than
19th if they were on 0 points.
mate, I thought Sheffield United would be that bad.
Yeah, that's true. But they are, after the points deduction, got back-to-back wins. A 3-0... Actually, I think they had the Man United loss first. But then, back-to-back wins. A 3-0 win against Newcastle, Champions League team. And then 2-0 win against Chelsea, Big Six team. Are they... Oh, and I'll preface this by saying, without the points deduction, they'd be in 10th. They'd be top half.
No.
No, they'd be 10th.
Oh.
They'd be 10th behind... They take...
dodgy information.
No, they'd take it. They would take Fulham's spot in 10th. They'd be on... if you add 10, 20...
They'd be 10th, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I'll do my research.
Yes.
So they'd be top half. Shall we just shout out the job that Sean Dyche is doing? The players?
For me, Abdoulaye Doucouré,
what's going on here?
He's unreal. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's come back in, and he's obviously a great asset for them.
Yeah.
Dwight McNeil's showing a little bit of form, which is fantastic for them.
I think we need to talk about Dwight McNeil. I think he's so good.
But yeah, Branthwaite.
Yeah, got a note here. We need to talk about him because I think he's a special player. I think he's a special player. I think up north they breed big, techie centre-backs.
John Stones
and
Harry Maguire.
Harry Mags, come on. And I think this guy is proving to be one of the reasons, not the only reason, why Everton's form right now is so good. The moment he came into the team, I think they were testing the waters with centre-back pairings. They tried Tarkowski and Michael Keane, didn't work.
Michael Keane's fallen off.
And then they tried like Mason Holgate there, rubbish. Who's the other guy that they've got? Ben Godfrey.
Oh.
He wasn't good enough there. But Branthwaite came in so good. Alongside...
Mikhailenko as well.
Mikhailenko's good,
really
yeah.
good.
But yeah, Branthwaite alongside Tarkowski, who's like a Premier League veteran now.
Understated. Genius.
Learning from him, learning from Sean Dyche, I think he's becoming an asset for
If there's anything to take from Sean Dyche's teams in the past, is that if you're a defender, you will often come out of his team looking good. His Burnley team was built around Ben Mee and Tarkowski, and they were the ones who came out of it and got moves back to the Premier League straight away.
Yeah.
As well as their big strikers in like Chris Wood, didn't he? Ashley Barnes sort of fell off a little bit, but yeah. For me, I think they're all right. They are not lucky that there are way worse teams in the league. Because Burnley, not it. Sheffield United, even though they picked up 3 points on the weekend, still not it for me. I think Everton are better than Luton.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think that their position in the table without the points deduction is pretty valid to where they are. I think that squad, in my opinion, is a mid-table, like an upper mid-table Prem team, and the job that Frank Lampard was doing with it was just really poor. And I think now that they've got a solid manager in Sean Dyche who can kind of steady the ship, get players playing their best, get players believing in this kind of us against the world mentality, which they got now, which is actually probably to their benefit.
The point section almost played into their hands.
Yeah, because they were never going to push super up the table. So this is kind of given them a storyline that even though they're battling relegation, they can battle relegation in a we got fucked over kind of way and give them like a storyline for the season. Yeah. And then they'll stay in the Prem.
They can
next
stick
season,
it to the Premier League.
Exactly. Next season, they get their new stadium. And I don't know if that's still going forward with the whole money thing, but...
The one thing for me is if they finish, and I know we're only in the beginning of December here, but if they finish the season and they get a nice mid-table finish or even like an 8th or 9th, if they can do that, especially after a 10-point deduction.
Yeah. It'd be nuts.
Do they get rid of Dyche? Do they look to push on?
No.
Because what we've seen with Dyche in the past with Burnley is that he's done very well with very low resources, but the football never developed. And then at the end of it, Burnley got relegated.
Yeah.
So, and Burnley probably should have, after having a couple of sort of bottom half to mid-table finishes, maybe look to move on and have developed their style of play, developed their players, developed their management and team.
I think what's different here, though, and I, again, don't really know what Everton's money situation is, but I've always seen Everton as quite a wealthy club that can spend well. They've obviously just forked out for a new stadium, so they've got money. And I think what happened with Burnley and Shorten Dyche is that he wasn't.
They got FFP.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't really know the situation.
Well,
I don't really know the situation because
is it Mashiri their owner?
Yeah,
who just doesn't. He's like now taking loads of money out of the club.
But yeah, I think what happened with Shorten Dyche and Burnley is that they just didn't invest at all. So Shorten Dyche was always kind of playing catch up to the rest of the Premier League. Whereas, like, if you give Shorten Dyche a mid-table team with a decent budget, I think he can do the job of like a Thomas Frank or a Marco Silva.
I think before the end of the year, we have to do another manager ranking. Maybe what game week are we in now?
17.
Yeah, so maybe in the game week like 20 or 19, we'll do another.
Yeah, maybe
ranking.
Just after Christmas.
Yeah, I'll be good. But yeah, Everton flying, and to be honest, I would have liked to see them in the Championship last season, but I always have a bit of respect for a team that battles back.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like Everton, but I like Shorten Dyche, and I like some of their players. Like we said, I like Decore, I like Dwight McNeil, and yeah, I think they are going in a good direction. Happy days for Evertonians.
Yeah.
Another team that's going in a good direction. A team that I think everyone just kind of wrote off this season. They lost Mitro. And
nearly lost João Palhinha. Everyone thought he had his head turned, but then he went and signed a new deal, didn't he? So
yeah, and kind of in Fulham, I think everyone just assumed they're a steady team, but now they've lost their goals, they're going to be struggling with relegation. They brought
in Jimenez, who wasn't.
And yeah, we've said his head's been out of the game for a while, quite literally. But he's actually hit a recent run of form that's boosted Fulham to 5-0 wins back-to-back in the Prem against Nottingham Forest and West Ham. 10th in the table, top half after game week 17, 21 points. What's going so well at Fulham?
I think what's going so well is that they've beaten a Nottingham Forest team who have hit some bad form recently. And then they've come up against the West Ham team who are just weird.
They shouldn't be doing West Ham 5.
I don't know what's wrong with West Ham. They're so weird. Like, their performance against Tottenham in the first half was shambolic.
Yeah.
They come on the second half, they look like prime Barcelona. They were outrageous. I don't understand it. But getting pumped 5-0, that's embarrassing. You got to have your head slapped for that because that is nuts.
It is bad.
I don't care who you are. Like, even if you're Luton, mate, you get slapped 5-0 by Man City. That's one thing. But to be like, mate, Fulham, that's a London rival as well. Like, show a bit of fucking self-respect.
He's spitting.
But yeah, I don't really know. I think they're just clicking. Marco Silva has these purple patches with his teams where they fly.
Oh, so you think it's a bit of a purple patch?
I think so. I don't think they're going to continue smashing teams 5-0.
Pulling up trees. I don't know, because I've made a note here, and I think a lot of it is Marco Silva. I think he's a really good manager. Do we think he can make the step up? I'm not saying necessarily a big 6 team, but maybe a big 8?
Yeah, I mean, maybe...
Could he do more with that Newcastle team than Eddie Howe?
Is it a sideways step to go to someone like Palace?
Yes. Probably not direct sideways, but it's like literally like slightly away from parallel.
Yeah, it's... I don't know, because I can't see him...
Because, like...
Maybe Man United?
That's what I'm...
Or Chelsea?
Man United's too big, but, like, would he do a better job with that Newcastle team than Eddie Howe?
It's so hard to tell. He's such a known quantity as well, because he's been in the Premier League with Watford, with Everton.
I think... just watch some of the games he manages, and I'm like, he has a good tactical kind of outlook on games. He's got quite a good read of his teams, and after, like, you give him 6 months in a job, he... gets that team playing a style of play that you can be like, yeah, that is Marco Silva's team. Whereas, like, I'm digging out Eddie Howe here, but, like, do they have a style of play beyond being, like, overly physical and physically dominating teams?
Oh, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, you watch how they build up their play. Like, they obviously do a lot of tactical work where they analyse the opposition teams. Sometimes they play with really high wing backs in terms of like Livramento, Trippier getting really high up the pitch. Sometimes you see a lot of the ball going through the middle with Bruno. So they clearly have different ways of breaking down teams. You see Isak playing out on the left and then coming inside a lot. You see Mickey Almiron, you'll either go to the byline or you spend this entire game cutting inside. Like they do a lot tactically. I think to say Eddie Howe's all he's got is being a man motivator is disrespectful. But I see what you mean. He's like an aura. He's a manager who wants to build up his players mentally.
I just think this Newcastle team can do more. And I think Eddie Howe... I've decided in this episode, my kind of story arc was kind of impartial to now very much Eddie Howe needs to go. I think a tactically astute manager... I think Eddie Howe is riding off the fact that he's got a team full of very good players.
Yeah, but like before Eddie came in, what had Almiron actually done? I think his best ever scoring was like 3 in the season.
Oh, yeah, but I think he's still pretty bang average. I think he had a purple patch.
But we said this as well, like Jacob Murphy.
Bang average.
What's his name? Joe Willock.
Pretty all right.
Yeah. But he's getting the most out of these players. Longstaff, mate.
I think Longstaff's a bit of a player.
Yeah, he was off the books, though, before Eddie sort of brought him back into the team. Who else have we got? Dan Burn. He was never the name he is now. No one thought he could do half things he could do until
I thought he was all right at Brighton.
Yeah, but he's been outstanding under Eddie.
Yeah, but I think this team can go up a level.
Joe Linton, Steve Bruce came in, said you're not playing up front anymore.
Well, that's Steve Bruce, though, isn't it?
But then Eddie Howe, Steve Bruce was playing out on left wing.
I'll put one out to the fans out there.
I think you've got to give him plaudits for the job he's done.
Can Marco Silva do a better job with this Newcastle team than Eddie Howe?
Oh, just that Eddie Howe slander is nuts.
Right, let's move on to the final team of the podcast. Arguably one of the worst teams in the league, but for some weird reason, they're actually 6th in the league. Man United.
They're 6 points behind Man City, which is nuts, because I haven't seen Man United do one good thing this season.
Genuinely, every week we talk about Man United being shit, but they've picked up 9 wins this season. I think a lot of it comes down to they haven't drawn a game, so they're either doing all right and picking up points, or they are the worst team in the league.
When did we say they're 5th?
6th.
And they've got a goal difference of -3.
Yeah. That's why they're so bad.
That's because
no one in a million...
They haven't kind of pumped a team.
Newcastle behind them, 12 goal difference. Behind them, 5 goal difference. West Ham got pumped there. But yeah, -3. You're looking at like bottom half of the table for similar goal differences.
Everton have 0 and they're 17th.
That's what I'm saying. So, Man United, a 2-1 win against Chelsea, which kind of, again, papers over a lot of cracks. What happens with Ten Hag? He'll go on a bad run, pick up a rogue result, and everyone's like, oh, this could be it.
You're saying bad run, though, but they just won Manager of the Month.
Yeah,
Harry Maguire
genuinely
has been a little redemption arc. I like to see it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they pick up a result against Chelsea where I think it was just a combination of 2 teams that are terrible playing each other. And Chelsea had some chances, missed them. Man United had some chances, missed them, and it ended up being 2-1. I think that was a game of just like 2 fucking idiots playing each other. And then it goes back to normality. A Bournemouth team that we can touch on. They are, I think, 5 games without a loss.
The Iraola expedition.
Era.
It's in full effect. We said this from day dot. Shout out Bournemouth. We saw this coming. We said stick by it. Well, I know we might have had a little wobble the other week when we said maybe they should have kept Gary Hill, but we were wrong. Iraola's the guy.
We're always wrong until we're right.
Yeah, we'll just cut an episode.
Exactly.
But yeah, we said this in the summer on our Bournemouth season preview. This guy knows what he's doing. He's done so well at Vallecano.
He's a player, yeah. A manager.
And they're investing well. They're doing the right thing. They want to be a bigger club.
Yeah.
So it's time for a new stadium now.
And I think, so, Man United, they get slapped with the big dick of normality in Bournemouth. A team that is well coached. Players know their style of play. They're in a good run of form.
Dom Solanke.
I think they hadn't ever won at Old Trafford. What a time to go and get their first win, a 3-0 win against Man United, who were absolutely dross, mate.
Semenyo,
so good. Solanke, I think he can make the step up.
Is Turkic as well, the other left?
I'm just going to say it now. I was going to save it for our kind of transfer window suggestion. But I think Dom Solanke as a Callum Wilson replacement for Newcastle is a good move. I like it. Thank you. But yeah, Man United, how can you do this? How can you do this to the worst fan base in the league? But no, how can you beat Chelsea, get the fans back on side, and then go lose 3-0 to Bournemouth?
I mean, they've got Bayern Munich tonight.
They've got Bayern, and then on the weekend, they've got a showdown of all showdowns against Liverpool. High flying, top of the league, Liverpool.
This is actually the biggest game in English football.
What in Liverpool, Man United?
Yeah.
Well, this is
this is the battle of the giants.
Well, it'd be fucking classic Ten Hag to the Bayern game. I don't know, draw to kind of appease some people, and then they go beat Liverpool.
I think when Ten Hag first signed, his first win was
against Liverpool. Exactly. It'd be classic Ten Hag, just as the and that's good for all the people that hate Man United.
Although,
go on, hit me.
Where is Bruno Fernandes? Where is he? Because he's not playing against Liverpool, is he?
I forgot about that.
Man got a yellow card for some antics, some rat antics. And I've been a bit of a Bruno supporter on this podcast.
I think he's a wanker.
But he cannot captain the club.
I see you, Bruno. You got absolutely cooked there last season, lost 7-0. And then I think just before the end of the game, you were begging to get subbed off. And you thought, fuck that, I'm not doing that again next season.
The only thing is, I still think he's better than Odegaard. I actually do.
Even if he has like a bit of better ability, his kind of toxicity as a player, his just petulance makes him worse.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you should use a pair of like James Milner and just
that's like being like, who would you rather in your team? I don't know, fucking Hatem Ben Arfa or someone a little bit less good,
Stuart Downing,
but more, James Milner.
Hatem Ben Arfa.
Yeah, I suppose it depends.
That's nuts. Yeah,
it's just mentality. He's a wanker, and
he's not a. But the problem is he is actually really good at football.
Yeah,
but his mentality is fucking done.
He can be nowhere near captaincy material. Like, he can be the best player in the team or the best player in the club. You can't let that guy be captain because his ego is just fucked.
Yeah. The things though, I watch him play and he looks at the game and he just picks passes so differently to like.
He is so unbelievably good, but you need a Roy Keane in that team. That Roy Keane maybe like not as good technically, but Roy Keane would just go up to him and be like, "You're a fucking knobhead." And
do you think that's what like Ronaldo does for the Portugal team?
Maybe
he just tells him to shut the fuck up.
You just need someone like that in your team to kind of balance out that personality because he is just running riot as probably one of the highest paid players, probably the techiest player, and he's captain. He's just got that club by the fucking neck.
It's like just having a guy he's clearly the best at what he's doing.
Yeah.
But he's an absolute wanker.
Fucking
But just
knobhead.
because no one else is near him, they just give him everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, at the end, it's like, is it like the Homelander and the boys, or whatever?
He is literally Homelander. His ego is so fucking nuts, and everyone's scared. I want
someone to clatter him in a game, make him like actually cry.
I can't even think.
And then like, I want to see him rebuild himself as like a humble guy.
Yeah, I can't even think of who Man United could sign as a player to humble Bruno. Because it may be Casemiro,
Mate,
but
they need to go and get
Casemiro, and he's wank now.
They need to get like the Real Madrid centre back pairing of fucking Pepe.
Yeah, they need like a Pepe or Sergio Ramos guy, but they're probably at the end of their lifespan that like. The Man United fans won't see that as a worthwhile transfer. But you need someone that's going to go in there and just has aura and will just fucking shut this nutter down.
Jude Bellingham.
I actually can't even like think of.
There is no one who I think would shut. Bruno Fernandes would go up to Messi and be like trying to tell him what to do.
Yeah, it's mad.
He's got that ego about him.
I don't know how and why Man United haven't got Roy Keane in like the fucking coaching staff at the club. Because he can't do much, but if you get him in a coaching staff and he just have like a 1v1 with Bruno and just shut him down a bit, just fucking impart some street smarts to his team. Like it seems like a no-brainer.
The issue is then you've got Bruno as your captain trying to take people like Garnacho under his wing.
Yeah,
and they're going to end up coming out.
That's what I'm saying. You're just breeding like a culture of just wankers.
Yeah, I don't know. You just need good people.
Like you've got like
Arsenal, you've got rats there, but they're like good rats.
That's what I'm saying. You can look at teams, even if you don't like teams.
City.
You can pick out players you're like, I like that guy. But there's genuinely no one at Man United that I would go and be like, I like him as a player.
It used to be Rashford, but I think he's just a bit weird.
Tosh, mate.
Like, I don't know.
Like, I don't like Chelsea, but I can go there and be like, Cole Palmer, I like what he's about. Sterling, I like what he's about.
Yeah.
Levi Colwill, I like what he's about. But Man United players, they've got so many wankers in that team.
I don't know, like maybe Luke Shaw.
But I'm starting to get pissed off at Luke Shaw as well. I came for him on Twitter. He's just getting away with murder because England have no good left backs.
Maybe Palestri. I think he's all right.
Yeah, but like he barely even plays, mate.
Yeah.
The only guy I like is Kobe Mainoo.
I like Delanga, but
he's gone. Yeah, there's so many dickheads.
Man United, what can you do? Is it a big summer coming up? A big summer? Big winter,
It's
mate?
got to be a
big January.
clear out thing.
But yeah, that's what is more important. I think we done this the other day, didn't we? We said Man United, if they can get 80 million for Rashford,
Mate.
or they get like 80 million for
if they can get
Bruno,
50 million for Rashford,
clear house.
just
Get rid of him. Get rid of them. Get rid of Martial. Just build up again.
Martial, apparently they are not extending his contract, and next summer he will be a free agent.
That Ballon d'Or clause,
Which is
nuts.
mad, because how's he been there that long? It's got to be like near on 10
He's just clearly
years.
on like 180, 200k
Yeah.
a week and just doesn't
It's
care.
crazy. And yeah, I don't know. Man United,
You know, it's dire straits when they were considering, like, you've seen Man United fans calling for Mason Greenwood to come back. That's dire.
So
Your
bad.
club is in the mud.
Yeah.
You're not only is your stadium falling down, everything, your club's morality is falling
it's
down.
mad.
You're falling
I
apart.
hate it. But is it time to panic? You're only sixth.
No, it's not time to panic.
But-
They're fortunate that everyone else is just having wobbles.
It like genuinely, as far as teams in the league go that I enjoy watching, Man United might be bottom. Because even Chelsea, as bad as they are, they're fun to watch.
Luton are good to watch.
Luton are good to watch. I'd say it's probably Sheffield United and Burnley, and then Man United is my bottom three teams. It's like they're just rubbish to watch.
Yeah. Anyway, guys,
But
thank
we're
you
here.
very much for watching. It's been BoreDraw episode 74. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a comment down below. We're getting some good views, but we would like some more interaction with the comments.
Comment.
So we are from today going to be picking out comments and
Talking about them next week.
we'll talk about them in the following week. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Let us know. Man United, should they be worried? Should Chelsea be even more worried?
Yeah, what questions do we ask?
Oh, Marco Silva, would he be doing a better job than Eddie Howe at Newcastle? Let us
I
know
think
down
he
below.
might, yeah.
Because I think that's a disrespectful thing to say to Eddie Howe, and this man needs his head slapped. What can you say? Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been BoreDraw episode 74, and it's live.